Why has the Vatican chosen this precise moment to drop bombshells about UFOs, aliens, and apparitions, paranormal things? This is by Michael Snyder. For centuries, the Vatican has been carefully guarding their most precious secrets. In recent years, that has been especially true regarding what they know about UFOs, aliens, and the mysteries of the universe. So why have they chosen this exact moment in history to publicly talk about these things? The press conference the Vatican had on Thursday is the very first time that the Vatican has held a press conference about UFOs, aliens, and apparitions since 1978. So this is a really big deal. It's being reported that the Vatican has decided to issue new guidelines on aliens and how it will deal with potential encounters in the future. The Vatican has announced that it is set to hold a press conference on supernatural phenomena tomorrow, they said, and it will touch on aliens and how it will deal with potential encounters in the future. According to a notice on the Vatican's website, it will kick off at noon tomorrow and will feature 3 prominent Vatican members being held to present the new provisions of the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith for discerning between apparitions and other supernatural phenomena. It will be led by Cardinal Victor Manuel Fernandez, Messenger, Armando Mateo, and Daniela Del Gadio. If the Vatican feels a need to issue guidelines about how to deal with potential encounters in the future, that seems to imply that they believe that there will be potential encounters in the future. What do they do now? What do they know that they are not telling us? Probably a lot. The last time the Vatican did something like this, it was all the way back in February 1978. The last time Vatican Doctrinal Faith issued norms for evaluating alleged apparitions and reports of supernatural events was in February 1978. At the time, the prefect, Cardinal Frank Joe Sepper, said the norms were necessary given how news of alleged apparitions spread rapidly thanks to the mass media. What has changed between then and now? One thing that has changed is that the current Pope seems to be quite interested in the topic of extraterrestrial aliens. In comments that he made near the end of 2023, Pope Francis seems to suggest that aliens could actually be baptized. However, Pope Francis did touch on aliens at the end of last year when he was talking about how early Christians discussed associated with Jews and Gentiles, which for some reason he compares to aliens. He said that was unthinkable if, for example, tomorrow an expedition of Martians came and some of them came to us here, Martians, right? Green with that long nose and big ears, just like children paint them. And one says, but I want to be baptized. What would happen? He didn't answer his own question, but he added, it was never the ministry of the closed door, never. So he plans to have an open door for these extraterrestrial aliens. Is that so? What would that look like? The producer of a new documentary entitled God versus Aliens seems to believe that the Vatican wants to prepare us for the day when humanity finally makes contact with such beings. The documentary God versus Aliens is to premiere at the Cannes Film Festival and reveal the Vatican's secrets about UFOs. The award-winning filmmaker Mark Christopher Lee says that the Vatican publishing new guidance on apparitions means that the full disclosure about the UFO phenomenon is getting closer. He said the Vatican has been studying UFOs for decades and even has its own cardinal appointed to deal with first contact. From my research, I believe that this new guidance on apparitions is proof that they know that UFOs are more than just physical crafts from other worlds and that they have a paranormal side to them. What most people don't realize is that the Vatican has been on the cutting edge of the search for extraterrestrial life for a long time. The Vatican Observatory in Rome is very well funded, and the Vatican also has a research group, quote unquote, that uses the very high-powered equipment at the University of Arizona in Tucson. Many people are surprised to learn that the Vatican even has an observatory with its own telescope. The history of the Vatican Observatory goes back 2.5 centuries. During its history, there has been some turmoil and several moves to escape the light and other hindrances that large cities such as Rome pose to doing astronomy. Therefore, more than a half century ago, the Vatican Observatory established a research group at the Steward Observatory of the University of Arizona in Tucson, while the Vatican Observatory headquarters remained in Italy. Needless to say, the Vatican is not going to tell us everything that they know right now, but a couple of things have become quite clear. Number one, the Vatican believes that extraterrestrial life exists. And number two, the Vatican plans to develop a positive relationship with any aliens, quote unquote, that do make contact with humanity. Could all of this be setting us up for a great deception of absolutely epic proportions? While he was still alive, author Tom Horn made the following observation. Why the Vatican has taken this carefully designed and deliberate course over the last few years is the greatest mystery, but implies knowledge on their part of facts yet hidden to most of the world that may hold far-reaching and historic implications. It also illustrates how Rome has wittingly or unwittingly set itself up to become the agent of a mass end times deception regarding salvation from above, that is from extraterrestrials, quote unquote. That's because historically there exists a clear pattern wherein man's psychological need of a savior is displayed during times of distress, a time like today, when people look skyward for divine intervention. It's true, when things get bad enough, the world is going to be looking for a savior, and if a superior race appears on the scene that seems to have all the answers, many people out there will fully embrace them. For decades, books, movies, and television shows have conditioned us to expect that someday we will interact with aliens from another planet. 100 years ago, everyone else would have dismissed such a talk as nonsense, but now we have been well prepared for the great deception that's eventually coming, it appears. Sadly, the Vatican seems to be quite ready to welcome aliens, extraterrestrials, as their new best friends, and that is extremely unfortunate. This is by Michael Snyder on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Michael's new book entitled Chaos, available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon, and you can check out his new Substack newsletter right here. About the author, Michael Snyder, extremely controversial new book, Chaos, available in paperback and Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 7 other books available on Amazon, including End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, Commissions Earned. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, The Most Important News, and he always freely and happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. You can connect with Michael on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and share his articles on your own social media accounts. It's definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.